Do you know Nike, Coca-Cola, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, and Domino's Pizza have in common? They have all mastered the art of the singular message. Think about it, no matter what communication you are looking at from any of these brands, whether it is a public appearance, a talk, an opinion, an ad, a chat show, any form of representation from these brands, you will always get the same message. Coca-Cola is about sharing happiness. It always talks about spreading the message of sharing with your family and friends. Domino's Pizza is about hot, fresh pizza delivered in 30 minutes. Oprah Winfrey talks about and only talks about living your best life. So much so that she has gone ahead and trademarked that line. Elon Musk, no matter where he's speaking, what he's speaking, and contentious opinions aside, it is always about now pushing humanity to a multi-planetary future. Which one do you believe? Nike, yes. Nike is the best one because Nike always asks you to take that first step. Just go ahead and do it. And that is something that I realized. I was talking to a client and we were talking about what his singular message should be in terms of a personal brand. And I realized that that is something that we struggle with a lot. And the reasons why we have problems finding our singular message could range from, but I don't want to talk about this, it's too close to home. I don't think that there are enough people who want to listen to the same problem. I don't want to bring in this energy. I don't want to continue solving these problems. Or I haven't been able to figure out what it is that I do best. Reasons why we kind of avoid our singular message could be multiple. But the fact of the matter is, once you decide this is the new path that I want to choose for myself or my career, then you also are deciding to step away from some things and step closer towards others. And this stepping closer towards other will bring you closer to your singular message. So let's spend the next 5 minutes, 7 minutes, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But let's spend the next few minutes in figuring out the exact template that we can use to bring clarity towards our singular message and how we can create almost like a framework which we can use every single time in every endeavor to figure out what's the best message for that particular one. And of course, it all begins with you. So the first question to ask is, what do you stand for? What are the things that matter to you the most? And very common coaching question that comes up, what are the 5 values that you stand for? It becomes a little overwhelming, I understand. So how about we flip that question and say, what is it that you solve easily? Let's start there. Because even if it doesn't tell us what we really definitely want to stand for, it will definitely tell us what comes easy. Then we get to choose whether we want to keep it or not. So the first step is, what comes easy? What do you stand for easily without effort, without overthinking it, without any sense of overwhelm? If you were to just start listing things off to someone as a matter of talking about yourself in third person and saying, this is what this person stands for, what are the things that will come up? And the second one, of course, becomes, what are you good at? It might not be something that comes easily to you, but something that you are actually good at and you have become so through years of experience, a lot of dedication towards it, or just pure discipline, or just something that you have now ingrained so much in your system that what might be hard work for someone else is warm up for you. So what is it that you are good at? And then to use these 2 points of information almost to create like this golden intersection point will be, what is it that your audience wants to hear? Now, the audience question is just one which fills people with dread. I have seen that physically metamorphose in people in the sense of the absolute shutdown that they will have on their faces when they are asked this question of, who's your target audience? And I know that that's a difficult question to ask. In fact, this is the video here called Who's Buying, which is where I try to kind of break down how you can look at arriving at your target audience. For the purpose of finding your singular message, your target audience might very easily in the beginning be you. So if you are speaking to yourself, what is it that you like doing? What is it that you're good at? And what is it that you as the audience would like to hear? That becomes the golden intersection. And from this golden intersection is the beginning of your first elevator pitch, your first draft of the elevator pitch. And it might look like something like, I'm a yoga instructor who is very good at breathing exercises for people who suffer with anxiety. Or I am a website designer who is extremely skilled at Wix. Or I am a life coach who specializes in dealing with teens who are going through generational trauma. Now that sounds like a very, very specific, singular message, and it can be based on your experiences, but it can also be something that has come from what you're good at. But for now, we're looking at the target audience being you. We're looking at what you're good at, and we're looking at what comes easily. All of this is internal. This is work that you have to do with yourself without having to get into the deeper conversations or the deeper thoughts about what are my values and what do I stand for. This is simple work that you have to do for yourself for the first draft. Then you take this draft and you bring evidence in. How do you bring evidence? You do two things. First, you see, is somebody buying this? And two, you say, who else is selling? So when you say, is somebody buying this, there could be evidence about the work that you've already done. A lot of times when we are trying to make a bold pivot, when we are trying to move careers, and when we are trying to see a different future for ourselves, what we believe in very, very strongly for the longest time is, I don't know anything about this new job. I will not be able to do it. I don't know anything about this new job is something that comes up so often in conversations where people are looking to make this pivot. The question that I ask at all times is, if you have any amount of interest in what you're trying to do next, then naturally you would have gathered some evidence in your life which tells you that your interest is placed correctly. Does it come easily? Is this something that I'm good at? Those two things have given you evidence that it's not entirely new to you. There are some aspects that are new, but there are some aspects that are familiar. It's almost like if you were to go to a country that you've never been before. I've never been to Japan before, so this is, hopefully I'll be going in the summer. The part of going to Japan that I don't know is, how will I navigate street of a new country? How does the bus system work? How does the cab system work? Where do I stay? Where do I go? How are places related? All of that information I don't have. But what do I have right now? I know what flights to take. I know how to navigate an airport. I know how I will get there. I know that there is a Google Translate app in my phone where I can use that to a certain extent to translate some information. And I know what are the big cities are. I can do some research. I have some experience. And then there is a part that I don't know anything about. But this is where we start. What we know and what we have experienced is, this is where we start and this is what we work towards. And the second amount of evidence that you get is, who else is selling it? Let's go back to the example of, I am a yoga practitioner who excels in breathing work for people with anxiety. Now, at the outset, it looks like the competition is going to be insane, right? So many people must be doing this. So many people must be selling that information. Now, of course, a very natural reaction to this could be getting a bit overwhelmed and getting, fairly demotivated to say, yeah, what's the point of me starting another venture like this because there are so many? Let's flip the coin on that one also a little bit and try and understand the fact that, first of all, in any industry in the world, I would love to hear from you if you can identify an industry where this is not true. But in any industry in the world, everything is a marketplace. There are people who are providing similar services and vying for the same targets, and the basic reason for that to exist is simply because there is opportunity. So if there are people who are selling this, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing. That tells you that the market size is big enough for everybody to exist. Now what we need to do is we need to kind of tone it further down, break it down piece by piece, and try and figure out what our target audience could be. Here's another video which talks in more detail about that. You can take a look here, or you can leave me a little comment and I'll probably go ahead and make one more which breaks down how we look at competition. But what that does, what that gives you evidence for, is the fact that yes, the market exists. Two, it also gives you information in terms of what are the other people saying. It's quite possible, in fact, most likely it will be possible, that you will not like everybody that is out there doing the same thing supposedly that you are doing. That's the first step of elimination. If you are the target audience and you don't like everybody else, it's possible that everybody else who is a target audience just like you also doesn't like everybody. So there is a niche yet to be found. That's one. And secondly, what it does is that it tells you what works and what doesn't. So it simplifies the game for you a little bit, like, yeah, this really isn't something which is up my alley. This I like, I can refine this further. It gives you starting points. So look at competition as data, because until you start and until you have failed, you have simply not succeeded. You're just trying, right? That's what they always say. That's what evidence can do for you. And with taking all of this information together, what you have created, like I said earlier, is the first draft of what your singular message could be. And your first draft tells you that some things you are naturally good at, some things you have developed over time and have become better at. You being the audience, you have been able to identify what's the kind of messages that you would like to hear. You being the audience, you've also been able to identify what is the competitive noise around you that you like or don't like, which gives you further definition on your niche. And you have also gathered evidence about what have you successfully sold before. So you know what kind of customers you can possibly attract. I think that's a good beginning, don't you think? That's a good beginning to a singular message. We'll follow this up. We'll talk more about what the next steps could be. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Please do hit the subscribe button. See you.